Hi, I'm Natasha Ryan, and this is our video series for PRS called Strong, Safe, and True, where we sit down with leaders in our industry, the security sector, and talk about relevant topics to today's climate. I'm elated to have with me today Bridget Guerrero. She is the Global Resilience Leader for GoDaddy. Is that right? Is that how you would coin yourself? Pretty
That's
close.
right. I think that's good. Yep, that's close. Close enough.
Okay, so Bridget, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, Natasha, first, thanks for inviting me to be on. I really appreciate it. I do manage the resilience topic at GoDaddy right now, but I have a long, kind of varied career. I got here like in a circuitous manner, but probably wouldn't have chosen to go any other way. I started in the military in the Marine Corps as a communications and intelligence officer, and then went to the Department of Homeland Security, where I was a senior intel officer. And then I kind of took a left turn and followed my spouse overseas to Romania and Turkey, where I worked refugee resettlement operations.
Wow.
Yeah, when I came back, I continued in resettlement a little bit back in the United States. It just wasn't really exciting enough for me here as it was over there. So
Sure.
I also had like 3 kids to send to college. I knew that there were some college tuitions coming down the line. So I went back into the security field, and I started a small security consulting company. That's where I met Michael. And then I moved on to Microsoft Global Security to support there as a vendor, and then moved to GoDaddy to manage global security operations and resilience about 3 years ago.
Awesome. This is a great chance for people to hear from you. I love your leadership, and your former service in the military lends so much perspective. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to share the screen here as we get going with this presentation. Okay. I always wonder, is my PowerPoint going to cooperate? But it is. Okay.
I can see it. Thank you.
Okay, so here we go with Bridget. And, global resilience is the buzz term right now, I feel like. So let's really get into this and talk about what the relationship between global resilience and physical security looks like.
Well, global resilience is a buzzword right now. And the bottom line is that resilience really means the ability for, a person or an organization to be able to take the hit and keep on going. That's how I always describe resilience to my team. And so we want to build, in a corporate security environment, or if you're like maybe working in academia and in a small business, if you want to create a resilient environment, you create an environment where you understand the risks that are out there, and you prepare for them as best you can, and you try to mitigate against them as best you can. And you also have plans in place to respond to the most likely and most impactful ones that are going to happen. You also have relationships in place. And, at the different organizations that I've supported, there are, anywhere from 50 to 250 sites that you're protecting, as well as, anywhere from 5 to 220,000 people that you're supporting. And so standards, I think, are really important, because you can't do everything. So you have to, identify, how buildings should be protected. And you may rank them by tier, you may rank them by some other criteria, but for that tier, and you understand how that building needs to be built out. And for the functions that your business is supporting, you have to be able to create standards to know that you've protected them to an acceptable level, so you can mitigate the risks that are likely and are going to impact you at some point or another. So I think standards are really important. Otherwise, people can just go crazy and not, they can chase after like every initiative, and not know what to work on, and then maybe miss the important things sometimes.
Do you think COVID really pushed this global resilience into action? Because this was something no one was really prepared for. No one saw it coming. And then it hit everyone and affected almost every business in the world.
It was a risk that people didn't anticipate. It was probably didn't rank in the most likely of risks. But I think the thing that COVID has done is, at least at the organizations that I've been with, it brings together all the stakeholders to work more closely together to continue to create an environment that allows us to operate despite, the fact that we're all working from home, or despite the fact that, maybe if you're in a factory environment, you may have to switch operations, or you may have to, focus on your supply chain more closely. It helps you to tune as a team more closely to ensure that you can get, business done as best you can, knowing that there's going to be some interruptions. Yeah, COVID definitely drove, I think, I don't know, my experience is that people are going to either sink or swim. You're either going to become more agile and more successful, or you're just probably going to fail.
Do you find yourself as a security expert and leader, do you find yourself now preparing for the next fallout from COVID, right? So now we're looking at possible shortages in things. Are you preparing now for doing a better job, you think, overall in the security industry at preparing for the next phase of fallout from COVID?
Well, from COVID, and also, if you look at the world, there are a lot of natural disasters occurring around the globe right now.
Yes.
And so I think I wouldn't just limit it to COVID. If you've got a hurricane hitting, that just mowed through Louisiana, you've got torrential rains happening in Europe every week, it seems, hurricanes and tornadoes spinning off in New England, things that we didn't expect. So I think we just have to expect the unexpected. But again, it's back to, you do have to create a framework where you either create an all hazards plan so that you can adapt to it. But you're not defining exactly what it is going to be, but you have the teams that can work well together, and you have really an agile mindset. And I've worked at tech companies in my last 2 roles, and I love borrowing from their agile mindset to just know that you have to just keep on your toes.
You keep talking about how security teams, they do play an integral role in everything, right? Do you think, given the way of the world and our current climate with everything, that security has a more prominent seat now and security leaders are being listened to more?
Well, a lot of security leaders are assuming this resilience remit, and also assuming kind of a health and safety remit too. And I think that organizations know that neither of those topics are going to just go away. So yes, It has, I think, elevated or brought the security professional into a position where they're helping to provide value to the business by creating a resilient organization.
Okay, now I love talking to strong female leaders. So let's talk about what it's like to lead security teams as a woman. How have you found that to work out for you?
Well, I don't know how it is to lead them as a man, so I only know, what I know. But I know that you and I have talked about, service in the Marine Corps and the military before. And, I really learned everything I needed to know about leadership from being a Marine. If you go into the Marine Corps, whether you're male or female, and you go in and you're fit and prepared, you're going to be successful. And if you go in and you're not fit or you're not prepared, you're going to be challenged. And so I had an amazing experience in the Marine Corps, one, growing as a resilient leader, because one of their goals is to knock you down 7 times to see if you keep getting up.
Sure.
And also just teaching you how to be good to your teams. And I think people think of Marines and they think of us being tough all the time, but I think part of being a Marine is pushing really hard, but creating a culture where you're pushing to the right goal and you're working together and you want to do it for each other. So I learned that as a Marine, and I hope to model that to the young professionals that I help mentor. And I also, that last bullet I think is really important. Humility is really important, especially in the security world that we live in today, because automation is becoming a big part of our job. Global intelligence is becoming a big part of our job. You know, these are the tools that we're bringing in to be more effective. And I certainly can't operate them as quickly as a lot of my 22-year-old team members. And so I need to, you know, be able to articulate the requirements and ensure that they're trained properly. And I know how to use a lot of the tools, but, you know, they teach me new things every day, and we need to learn from each other, you know.
I love that. You know, we talk a lot about the power of empathy and being empathetic, but I especially like the word humility brought into it, because you have to be humble enough to continue learning. You
do. And I think that's really important for leaders as we get older, that we cannot stop learning. You know, this world is changing too much.
I know. And I feel the same way you do. New technology comes out and I'm like, oh my gosh, this. Okay, so new technology also brings, of course, new opportunities in the security sector. So let's talk a little bit about what you're seeing.
Well, I guess, you know, at first I see from the perspective that I sit in. So there's a lot going on, you know, in the security industry and the security business. So, you know, this is just from the point in which I sit, I see some really cool opportunities ahead to, you know, take kind of that standard security professional and, you know, to amplify or to build out different areas of capacity so that you can continue to grow and support organizations. And global intelligence, I think, is a big one. We talked earlier about, you know, all of the natural disasters and other disasters that are striking around the world. And without good intelligence feeds, without good ingests, you know, you're basically your eyes are closed or you have goggles on, you know, so you need to use global intelligence as a business enabler. And I really think it's important to, and I should have mentioned it, you know, in one of the earlier slides, I think it's really important that security professionals understand the business that they're in and the goals of the business, so that we support both in intelligence collection and everything else that we do. We support the objectives of the business. We can't just build security solutions that we think are necessary. We need to know what the risks and the risks that the business perceives, and we need to know the business goals so we can support. And global intelligence is a great way to provide value to the business.
Sure. And then you talk about, you know, data visualization. That word's always hard for me to say, Bridget.
That's okay. The important thing is that really you need to see stuff, right? You need to take data, and you need to use it in a way that you're not just, you know, like spitting out these reports each week that nobody uses. I mean, we regularly in my current role will create a set of reports, and you know what? If they don't serve our needs, we'll just can them and start over. We identify first, like, what do we need to know about, what do we need to see to help us improve to the next level, to help us be more secure, to help us move faster, to help us do our job better. And so we use a mixture of Power BI or Tableau or the inherent tools that we're using. A lot of them have reporting capabilities, and we use that to create reports that allow us to just have conversations with people. And through those, we can either identify, you know, broken physical security systems. We can identify gaps in our physical security posture. We can, you know, show the business how we've reduced the mean time to detect an event to the mean time to contain the event. And all of those things are what help you to survive in this industry. You got to show your value, and data really helps to drive that. Sure.
I want to get a little bit more into cybersecurity and what you think those opportunities there are. with everything going on with all the ransomware and how we're seeing this just kind of surge. And I just want to pick your brain on that a little bit.
Well, I think, it's important to say that in, the phishing and malware and attacks that occur frequently, there's a common thread, and that is a person who either slipped up and gave someone their credentials, or they helped reset, a bad actor's password, a password for a bad actor to enter into a system. And so people are the weakest link. And for us corporate security professionals, we can support the cyber security professionals by coming together and identifying, where those where those missteps occur. We can help identify those things either through the ingest, the reporting that we're seeing or hearing, or through open source media. We can work together to identify where the risks are. And I think any security professional it makes sense to just participate in webinars where you can become more familiar with the cyber risks that are out there. And then you understand, oh my gosh, sorry. Time to go pick a kid up at the bus stop.
I thought it was time to play Mario Brothers.
I know. It had to be like a different alarm altogether, so I didn't just turn it off. But don't worry, today somebody else is picking it up. I just forgot to turn off the alarm. No, but I think it's important, like even from like the 101 standpoint, jump on those webinars to understand what the top 5 cyber risks are in your environment today. A lot of them have to do with people making bad mistakes, or using bring your own devices, or using not using VPNs to access sensitive information. And so we can all educate ourselves, and you can be a better partner with your cybersecurity team if you know what they're talking about. And attack cycles, whether it's like on the physical side or the cyber side, they actually follow like this. They use the same words and they follow the same kind of methodologies that we do. So once you are confident enough to step in, dip your toe in that pool, the world is really not that different than the physical world that we focus on.
Bridget, thank you so much for your time. I know you are a very busy woman, and I'm going to let you get back to it. And don't forget to please keep coming to premierrisksolutions.com for more videos like this one. Thank you to all of you watching, and Bridget, again, thank you so much.
Thanks, Natasha. I loved it. Appreciate it.
Okay, great. Then I'm going to have you back.
Okay, good.
All right. Bye, all.